Dude, that's a tank.
Yeah, it's not a bad fish.
That's a great fish.
I don't know if they can see the little one. Certainly can see the big one.
Risk, reward, and the silly concept of trophy. These are the themes I wrestle with on the eve of this adventure.
Wow. That's incredible.
The whispers of trophy golden trout swimming somewhere in the Wind River Range fill the daydreams of fishy folk the world over. Shrouded by secrecy and protected by peaks, this is a destination that will capture any angler's attention but demand your utmost respect. Biting bugs will beat you senseless, and finding oxygen is a labored task. Found only where the heavens touch the clouds, the only direction you can go is up. And I mean this when I say your threshold for suffering will be your only barrier to entry. And understandably so, you may find yourself wondering, is this pilgrimage really worth it?
Yeah, we about died yesterday. It was one of those things that was like, okay, we got to camp, sat down, we're like, is this worth it? Is it really worth it? And I think this answers the question.
Folks, this is going to be 5 days deep in the Wyoming backcountry hunting for the biggest golden trout in the world.
Morning.
I'm tired.
The sun was fast to rise while we slowly rubbed the sand from our eyes. It was cold. Mountain mornings like this make even the smallest of movements feel like a damn marathon, but regardless of our feelings, it was time to complete our morning chores before we could muscle through a frozen brick that was meant to be breakfast. Now, chipped teeth aside, just getting a tiny bit of food in the belly helped warm up the extremities just enough before our day officially began.
All right, clock says 6:30. The sun is coming up, and we're a little tired. We're learning from yesterday. We're trying to get on the lake as early as possible, and I think we've got ourselves a much better start, a couple hours better start. So we're gonna get on the trail and get to our next destination. So let's go. In my wildest dreams, would there be a website dedicated to?
And so, in the shadow of the sun, we set our sights somewhere above the alpine, much like the day before, and locked in for another hike.
I know, I see that.
I would say, as of right now, Meat Hang was going exactly to plan. And any of you out there who plan the logistics on a trip of this magnitude, you guys know how abnormal this is. We found a great deal of success at the first lake, and now it was time to branch out. Instead of zigging, we're gonna zag towards a completely different drainage. And based on reports and studying maps, the lake at the top was gonna vary slightly from what we saw yesterday. This lake, it seemed to be a bit more exposed, and the map showed a much more pronounced outlet stream. Based on this hike alone, it seemed like we were gaining around the same elevation as the day before. We must have gained close to 1,000 feet, and yet again, we were brushing the top of the world.
This place is so heckin' cool. Way better than Kansas.
I think we might be smooth sailing from here.
With the rapid staircase left behind, our path finally leveled out, and breaking out of the tree line, we were both shocked to see how different this landscape looked. And as the crow flies, these lakes, they couldn't have been but a few miles apart, but instead of boulder fields and porous lichen beds, this flat valley was filled with knee-high shrubs and scattered pockets of pines. But there was more than just that. The dimples in the outlet stream seemed to be another drastic departure from its sister system just a stone's throw away. With the size of most of these splashes, it was clear that this stream supported some sort of natural reproduction. These little trout, they were rather enthusiastic and did their absolute best to make hay while the sun shined. And As much as we wanted to toss a cast in their direction, we both knew it would be paramount to get to the main lake as soon as possible. The morning bite had a certain shelf life, and we still needed time to figure these fish out.
We did it, we made it. Here we are.
She opens up a bit, huh?
That's one within range.
All right, this is saving our lives right now. We're getting absolutely mollywopped by these mosquitoes.
Terrible.
Yep. Yeah, these skins are just for bug protection alone are game changers.
As you can see, just having an extra layer of protection was life-saving. Every single mosquito on this lake was looking at us like an all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet, and it was hard enough trying to rig up the rods with cold nubs for fingers without having to simultaneously battle clouds of ravenous bugs. Luckily, I had made a handful of quick rig leaders weeks in advance, which helped save loads of time. Between the dwindling dimples on the lake's surface and the swarming skeeters dive bombing any exposed skin, we had to get moving, and we had to get moving quick. And as luck would seem to have it, as soon as we hit the main lake, the wind turned our once glassy surface into a serious chop. So we scurried around a protected cove where the water still looked reasonably flat. Clearly, this was the play because it didn't take long to spot our first cruising fish on the day. And what happened next, it would be hard to believe if we didn't have video proof. So any and all watching, buckle up.
He's right behind this rock. See him? Okay. I don't know if he saw us or not, but he's kind of yeeting. This is kind of a precarious spot.
He's fighting.
This is a good fish. Yes!
Wow. That's a nice fish.
Yeah, buddy. You can tell he's an old boy.
It looks nice to get that off the...
Yeah, at least off the docket, yeah. One, he didn't hesitate. He did not even hesitate. So I've got the underwater GoPro in this pocket.
Okay. I can also use mine. Look to your... Look.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God,
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Holy shit, that's a big fish. Oh my God.
That's massive.
That's a big fish.
If you look closely, you can pick up a submarine-like figure sliding through the grassy flat. Kowalski turned off his GoPro and grabbed the other rod, and as soon as I started recording, well, all hell broke loose.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Kowalski. That was insane. I know. Oh my God, that's another giant fish, dude. Easy does it, easy does it, easy does it. Oh, get him out of there, get him out of there. We've got heavy tippet on there. You can horse him. Come on, Kowalski, come on, baby. Get his head up, get his head up, get his head up. Get him up, get him up, get him up. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Come on, baby. You're doing well. Just get him out of those rocks, get him out of those rocks, get him out of those rocks, Kowalski. Get him out. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh my gosh! Dude, golden doubles! Oh my gosh!
That is huge.
That's a tank fish, dude!
Hey, let's go!
Holy shit!
Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh, goodness gracious.
That's a basket of gold.
Dude, he fought so hard too.
That was insane. That was absolutely insane. Hold him out, hold him out.
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right. He is gonna go back. See you, buddy. All right. Now.
Oh my goodness,
Now
dude.
it's all you, man. It's all you.
Oh, dude, that is so sick.
Oh my gosh.
Kowalski, that is a trophy. I think that's a hybrid. You can kind of see the
Yeah.
stripe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hybrid, but he's
chunk,
massive.
dude. Oh my god, that was fun.
That's insane. That's a massive fish, bro. Dude.
Hell
that is
yeah.
so insane. All right, I'm gonna close up on him.
Look at that tail.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you close up on him too.
Nope.
Easy.
Oh my goodness gracious, dude.
Did you see what he was doing? He was like munching the bottom. He was munching the bottom.
Hit the water, he turned around
And it was like, oh, what's this? Kowalski!
Oh,
Dude!
I'm so cold right now.
Dude!
Oh,
Do you realize what you've done in 2 days?
I appreciate you.
Do you realize what you've done?
For someone who's like not an avid trout fisherman, like I'm so blessed right now.
This is insane.
Like, I'm very, 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 very thankful for our adventures. Like,
Hey, man,
that's awesome.
You did this, man. You did this.
Oh, wow.
All right, back to where we started. The pandemonium is over, and I'm trying to clean up my rig here. But that, ladies and gentlemen, was a golden trout double. And not only was it a double, it was a trophy double. Because yesterday, put some footage right here, Kowalski caught himself a trophy golden. Come to today, in the pandemonium of it all, I'm getting ready to release this fish. Kowalski spots this thing, and it's a submarine. It's huge. I mean, and we were a little worried too. We hadn't seen much at this lake, but we turned this corner, and then all of a sudden, it just turned on, and he hooked into it. We got him, and it was. That's why you come here. That's why you come here.
As we kept sneaking down the bank, we were not finding the results we were hoping for. As the sun continued to rise, the cruising fish along the bank showed a lot more hesitation to both our dry flies and the leech.
One just rose twice over here.
Which one you want? Dry?
Yeah. So he's gonna be coming off of this big rock right here very soon.
Okay.
I'm gonna go over your head with this.
I'll get down.
See him? He just came up. Oh, he's going for it. Okay. Watch him. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want the smoke. Nah, I think we missed him. Oh! No, he doesn't want the smoke.
The further down the bank we got, Kowalski and I wrestled back and forth with a few running theories as to why these fish were being so finicky.
They're all little teeny tiny bugs. They're just like look at that.
Clumps of spent midges, that would have been a very tasty treat for golden trout to get fat off of, but at the same time, the sun was now getting much higher in the sky, and our crisp morning was now pushing into the afternoon fast.
Oh!
No look.
At it. There's another one coming. Oh, he's going. Oh, he freaking.
You see that?
Yep.
Oh, dude.
He just refused it.
That was a pretty good cast.
Oh, there he is. I'm gonna strip it right to him. He's coming.
Oh, he's chasing. Oh, he took it too.
He took it.
Oh, to your right. Straight ahead of you now.
Oh, I see him.
Straight ahead. Perfect cast. He's going for it. Yep, you got it. Take it. Hook him.
There we go. Great spotting.
Yeah. That's teamwork right there.
That's teamwork.
Oh my God, Mike.
What?
You didn't see it, but like Shamu just surfaced out there.
Whoa, yeah.
You know, he was freaking huge.
Damn. Oh, there he goes. Shit. He ate it off.
Feeling like the second fish might have been a fluke, it was time to rethink our game plan a bit.
Damn, bro. This shit is wild.
But before we got far, the game trail elevated to a lovely perch that allowed us to see the entire lake. Tired and a bit unsure what these fish wanted, this would make for an ideal mid-morning stopping point.
Well, I took a deep breath and reclined a bit. I figured this would be a good point again to offer up some context because y'all might be wondering,
Why in the world would these two numbskulls be putting in this much effort to find one singular species of trout in a random part of the country? And I think it's obvious that golden trout, they are amazing to look at, and the places that they swim, they're gonna kind of take your breath away as well. And it also helps that these fish, they fight like hell and they can be tricky to fool at times. These are all admirable qualities in a desired game fish. So again, what's the catch here? And to help kind of explain this, rudimentary economics could be of use here. So let's just say, for example, the supply of a desired product is low. The demand for said product is usually quite high. There's something about scarcity or exclusivity that us humans, we just gravitate towards. And for as long as I have been a trout bum, golden trout have been high on my bucket list, kind of for this exact reason. Almost every single trout bum I run across agrees that these are one of the coolest subspecies of trout, while simultaneously agreeing that they're really hard to find. And because of that, there always seems to be so much secrecy around where you might need to go to catch them. Now, these golden trout might be native to the United States, but realistically, they are extremely hard to find. Contrary to popular belief, golden trout are only native to the Kern Plateau all the way over on the west coast in California. They've been trapped up in that drainage for untold numbers of years now, and they were once believed to be migratory rainbow trout, and their unique lineage is infinitely fascinating and parallels the other rare salmonids that have isolated distributions. And people at home, keep in mind that I am not a biologist or a fisheries historian or whatever you would call it. My understanding of this particular topic is purely that of an enthusiastic angler. But back in the day, when ice ages would ebb and flow, ancestors that resemble the rainbow trout would push their distributions to their absolute limits. Over time, available habitat would either shrink or some cataclysmic shift in tectonic plates would cause resident salmonids to be cut off from their ancestors. And of course, in saying this, I am oversimplifying things by a magnitude of 10, but once you give these fish a couple thousand years to duke it out with old Mother Nature, boom, next thing you know, you have an entirely new species of trout. The oldest example of this would be the rare and beautiful Apache trout native to the White Mountains in Arizona, and just a stone's throw away in the land of enchantment would be another relic of the past. The aptly named Gila trout can be found in isolated canyon streams in the Gila National Forest. So with all this said, where the hell does Wyoming come into this picture? And bear with me, folks, this is where I personally think the story gets really fun. The history of golden trout in Wyoming starts in the early 1900s. These non-native fish were purchased from California's Fish and Game Department and introduced into many of the barren lakes here in the Wind River Range. You know, back in the day when you could just throw lake trout into Yellowstone Lake or brown trout into every stream out east. But I digress. That might be a different story for a different time, but realistically, there wasn't a great deal of rhyme or reason for these actions in most cases, just irresponsible bucket biology. But this decision by Wyoming Game and Fish was a bit less damaging than most because, like I said, most of these lakes, they didn't have fish anyway, and for whatever reason, a few years down the road, California had a change of heart. After a considerable amount of time, they stopped boxing up their state fish and shipping it back east. But luckily for Wyoming, a few lakes hosted conditions similar to that of their native waters, and a broodstock population was established. So that brings us back lakeside to one of almost 140 lakes here in Wyoming that are stocked with remnant populations of these golden trout. And yes, you're hearing me correctly when I say these fish are stocked. Normally this occurs on about a 3-year cycle, if my research is correct, but despite being stocked in these lakes, goldens can live quite well for the better part of 10 years, and they tend to grow quite large. There may not have been trout present prior to their stocking, but most of these lakes hosted a robust insect foundation which is needed to grow these monster fish. That's why the marquee of the Wind River Range is truly trophy-sized trout dwelling in these alpine pockets. Kind of like the 2 fish that Kowalski caught. Unfortunately, most of the lakes that contain goldens have conditions that are just too harsh to see a successful spring spawn. So in most cases, if they aren't put in by Wyoming Game and Fish, they will not propagate a population. And for those of you who are wild trout enthusiasts, never fear, there's still some wild reproduction in certain situations. In the brief time we explored, the only sign of natural reproduction that we came across came in the form of tiny stream-dwelling goldens, or the handful of golden trout and rainbow trout hybrids in the lakes that contain mixed species of trout. So hopefully you have a better understanding of why they're swimming in these lakes and why we're here chasing them. And speaking of, let's get back lakeside and chase some more goldens.
Look at those fish, dude. Look at that fish. Look at that fish. Look at that fish. That's a huge fish.
Our first break of the day was suddenly interrupted with a gasp and maybe some foul language. I rubbed my eyes clear as we peered over the edge. From our rocky outcropping, we could see some rather large figures looming just off the bank. Those were some big fish. Kowalski kindly instructed me that it was time to get back to work, so I grabbed my gear and scrambled down.
Where are they? Like in relation to this tree right here? Okay. Let me know when I should start stripping.
I'll let you know. There he came around the rock. Do you see him yet? No. See him just surface right there? No. Okay, he's coming. You're going to see him here in a second.
Oh, I just saw one surface over there.
No, he's right in front of you, dude. See him? He's right on the other side of that rock right next to you.
Still have eyes on?
Yep. He's hunting this cove. You went too far past him. Strip it in past. See him?
No.
Right on the point of the rock. Yeah, you might not be able to see him now. He's still right on the bank though.
Did he turn?
Nope. Still coming at you.
Gotcha. Okay. He didn't want any of that. Whew.
I'll be honest, folks, this frustrating trend continued much longer than it should have. They were obviously on some sort of circular feeding pattern, we just couldn't dial them in. Kowalski, he was being a phenomenal spotter from up above, and even though my casting, it was subpar at times, I was getting it right in front of their face, which usually works, but no matter where and how I threw it, they turned their nose every time and kept doing their own thing. And as if to add insult to injury, we kind of made a hasty decision. We decided to leave fish to find fish, which, as you know, is always a big mistake.
Leave it. Leave it. Oh.
Mm-mm.
Like I'd mentioned a bit earlier, this lake was night and day different than the one we fished yesterday. Opportunities at fish, they were a lot fewer and far between, and we did quite a bit of walking just to put our flies in front of potential fish. The tough part about this lake is that there was never a distinct point of structure to target. Our first lake, it had steep drop-offs and boulder piles all throughout, and not to mention a very active outlet stream. These slow-sloping grass flats and shallow coves seem to stretch out for 20 or 30 yards into the lake today. Maybe that's why these fish were so spooky. I'm not exactly sure, but with these shallow bays, it had no real structure for these fish to hide, and it might make them easier to target by aerial predators like osprey or eagles. And as a rule, these goldens, they seem to be much more shy when it came to our fly selection. It kind of makes me think they've already seen a few flies this year, or a couple lures at least, because normally, lake fish, they cannot afford to be picky with their food selection. Now, from my prior research, this lake was fabled to be one of the few in the winds with some sort of natural reproduction. And even though these fish aren't pure goldens, they were for sure hybridized with something, be it rainbow trout or cutthroat. But still, these older wild fish, they just weren't buying what we were selling today.
Not too terrible.
This is how high up we are, folks. Still got snow.
And as unfortunate and somewhat speculative as this prognosis may be, we didn't feel too terrible about leaving. We both found some fish, and to be honest, we were a bit frustrated with the challenge put in front of us. Luckily, our hike out was nothing but downhill, and once we hit the stream, it was time to relax for a bit and find some lunch.
A little bit of lunch down the hatch, much needed water down as well. We're deciding to, cut our losses early, and we're gonna start working on dinner. So we're gonna get down the mountain here and try and catch some more brookies, because Lunch might not be enough. We might need some more.
Fly fishing for stream-dwelling brook trout is nothing short of an absolute blast, and that's just a fact. But in planning for this trip, I made sure to find a drainage that had a brook trout lake as well, aka a dinner lake. On the map, this little lake, it wasn't all that far from where we had fished this morning, so instead of doubling all the way back down to camp, we cut a trail across the mountain. Now it should be said, hiking off trail is never advisable and comes with a fair amount of risk. Kowalski and I, we have both been doing this sort of stuff for quite some time now, and it still makes us slightly uncomfortable. Loose ground, sharp slopes, and shifting boulders are just the tip of the iceberg. A lot can go wrong once you step off that trail, so we made sure to mind our step while we meandered ever closer to our potential dinner.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Slow and steady, man.
I guess. Maybe you could take it real slow.
I really feel like a mule would be a game changer for stuff like this.
Yeah.
With this perfect overlook, we could see the entire lake. Again, compared to the other lakes in this corner of the winds, it couldn't be much different. It was rather slender, but the deep turquoise told me that it carried some serious depth, and even from this high up, it already looked super fishy.
Oh, I see fish. Hell yeah. Close to the bank, too.
Tucked in between the sunken boulders from a rock slide that time surely forgot was a redfin invader that was at the top of our grocery list. This eastern transplant had a rather curious gaze as Kowalski and I approached, and I'm not kidding when I say I could have stuck my hand into the water and given him a friendly boop on the nose. He was acting like one of the fish in my dad's koi pond, and this kind of makes me think this lake doesn't see much traffic. Perched high up on a boulder, Kowalski looked down and saw more than just one. Apparently, we had struck brook trout gold as packs and pairs started to pass by our section of lakefront property in high densities. I couldn't wait and look at them much longer, so I scooped up the rod and got right to work. We needed some fish for our empty creel, but with such high fish densities, it wasn't empty long, I'll tell you that for free. With our dry flies and then our leeches, we could see multiple fish chasing it almost every single cast. This kind of action, it was hot and heavy, and this really helped to boost our morale, especially from our kick in the pants earlier this morning. After I'd managed to find a few more plump trout for the bag, I handed the baton off to Kowalski to continue the grocery shopping.
There it is.
There he is. Good boy.
Pretty skinny boy.
Well, right now, Kowalski and I are at a pretty sweet little brookie lake, but he is too skinny for dinner, so he gets to live. Casting out isn't bad either. And you can roll cast for years with that one. Oh, here's one right here. Cast right here. Cast right here. Strip, 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 strip. He sees it. He sees it. He's going for it. Set, set. Nice, dude.
I didn't even see him.
That's my.
Good thing you don't set.
You might be a little bit better eating. So much bigger than the creek brookies. That's so awesome.
Yeah, those will actually have some meat on them.
Yep.
It might be pretty obvious, but there's no real secret with this type of fishing. The red fins would either give them away and you could directly sight fish, or you just had to bomb a cast out and maintain a steady strip.
We might be able to limit out and then process all these boys right here.
Believe me when I say, they were not picky at all.
Nice chunky nugget.
Seems like a good chunky boy. You bucket.
Yeah, you know, we caught maybe 10 fish out of this spot now.
Yeah, it's time to move.
Probably 5 degrees down.
Oh, that's a big one. Hell yeah.
Pull him in, yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, you can't even tell that.
Nice fish, man.
Well, the other brookie that was right next to him was pretty decent too.
Yeah, hook yeah.
That's a nice fish.
It just looks like different.
Damn, these brookies be crazy, bro. Are you ready for this fish? Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah.
And you know, this is good for this lake. They don't need all these fish.
Join your friends. Thank you.
Oh, there's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. He's coming. He's coming.
Dude, that was so fucking good. That's like what the first did.
Dang,
Dude, it's crazy action today, man.
Oh. One coming.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be good eating. That's a big boy. Yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I can tell you this, my hamstring doesn't hurt anymore.
Oh, that's
There it is.
it's your boy.
That'll finish it out. It's good eating.
It's good eating. That's a solid day of fishing.
I think so.
We can call it.
I think
Two
that's
more and
safe.
we're like sitting. Oh,
Oh wow.
okay, so one more.
So one more.
And,
That's too funny, man. So people at home, you can kind of see the clouds coming over the horizon there. Kowalski and I are a little bit sussed out by them, and we have far surpassed our want and need for brookies. So we're gonna be eating really well tonight, and yeah, there's no point in pushing it.
At this point, our bag of brookies was darn close to busting at the seams, and it was safe to say we were going to have plenty for dinner tonight. So, while Kowalski got to processing, I figured I ought to stop and talk a bit more about our colored up friends. And it might not seem to be the case, but I promise you when I say I love brook trout just as much as the next guy. I used to chase them in their furthest western native range in places like Iowa or Wisconsin, and I've got buddies back east that catch some of the prettiest trout you've ever seen in your life. I would argue that they're one of my favorite cold water species to chase on the fly. Now, thanks to bucket biology, there isn't great information on when and where these non-native gems were brought from. All that is known is that they were flopped into Wyoming waters somewhere at the turn of the century. But, and this is a big but, Wyoming is nowhere near the native range of Salmo fontinalis. And I feel like there's been a massive overcorrection with this whole catch and release narrative, and I only say this because I used to be one of those hardcore catch and release advocates when I was a budding trout bum. But the more I think about it, the only reason I did this is because Orvis or Trout Unlimited said that I should. So as I've gotten a bit older and a bit hungrier, my perspective has changed just a bit. And if you are a bit skeptical about keeping fish, look at the bag limits for any state west of the muddy Mississippi, and you'll see that non-native trout, like our beloved Brook, are rather high. And I mean high. Barring a small handful of waters, Wyoming has a daily bag limit of 16 per person per day, with no size limit. In both the stream and the lake we fished, you can see firsthand that there is no shortage of these fish. The double-edged sword of brook trout adaptability and dominance is that they can rapidly overpopulate and then stunt an entire fishery. And I personally have seen this time and time again out west. And don't even get me started how much pressure they put on native fish. Moral of the story is that catch and release is good, but so is context, folks. Situations like this are ideal to take a few fish for dinner, and it's truly the perfect win-win for the angler. It improves the overall health of a body of water, and wild brook trout, they might be one of the best tasting freshwater fish you can find. So when you come out west, don't forget your Creole folks. While we made our way back, Kowalski and I were both amazed how close this lake was to our camp. On paper, it seemed like a bit of a haul, especially because there was no marked trail to reach it. But no trail was really no problem. This high up, there seemed to be a serious lack of underbrush, and my guess is that with such short growing seasons, most plants have a tough time existing up here. This made it extremely easy for us to find a handful of crisscrossing game trails to follow all the way back home.
I'm gonna go put this in the
Oh my lands.
and walk like all the way up.
Now it must be said that the first few seconds absolutely suck, but after another long day out in the elements, the cold water felt amazing on the muscles and possibly made us stink a little less.
Well, bath time was much needed, and now we're gonna go into camp chores. We got some basic camp stuff to do, like take care of the tent. We're gonna get a fire going. The fish are chilling in the creek right now, so that's nature's refrigeration right there. They're gonna be fine, and yeah, ready to be cooked. But let's get to going. We've got a couple things to do before we can eat.
With how nasty these bugs were, fire and smoke was again at the top of our priority list.
Gasoline and cotton balls. Nothing better.
Much like before, the easiest part of our day was getting that wood to catch fire. With that finally out of the way, I got to messing with some of the electronics while Kowalski hung up the wet clothes to dry.
So as Mike's probably narrated by now, the mosquitoes are really, really bad.
They're the worst.
So we made the conscious decision to wear our neoprene backcountry skins
Backcountry skins.
today, and that probably saved our lives. Thick enough the mosquitoes can't bite through, but they're also super breathable.
And warm.
And warm, so especially the morning hike. But
Yeah.
getting not eaten alive by mosquitoes on our legs and then just doing our arms, that was the
move.
ticket today.
Yeah.
Especially with the lake we were at.
Whew.
And they were bad.
That was bad.
So yeah, backcountry skins, thank you.
Shout out.
And since we had a few more nights left and we were back early enough, we got to hauling and processing more wood for future fires.
There you go. I don't know if that'll break any more than that.
Nope.
This right here is the best way I could demonstrate working smarter and not harder. I somehow managed to talk gravity into doing most of the heavy lifting for us this evening.
Airing out the feet. They've been wet for the last 3 days. So it's good to dry them out just a little bit.
Feels good, man.
All right, so when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you don't have a bunch of kitchen supplies, so we just picked one random seasoning we liked, hauled it out here, and then we could have just used flour, but we thought we were gonna make biscuits, ended up not doing that. So you can use this as flour as well. And then we just take that, mix it all together in a bag or whatever you got. Then we'll toss our trout in here, mix them up, toss them over the fire, and they'll be pretty
Crispy
good.
boys.
I cook them till they're pretty crispy because I like the skin to be a little crunchy.
Well, they'll see.
It tastes good.
Yeah, it's the best.
Heading back to our streamside refrigerator, Kowalski got to rewashing each and every fish. And even though we did this at the lake, they still can produce a fair amount of slime after the fact. But now squeaky clean, it was time for a dredge in our batter mix. And again, this is simply biscuit mix and Cajun seasoning in a plastic bag. And since we had the fire ripping for the better part of an hour now, our bed of coals was red hot and giving off a lot of heat. Camp Chef Kowalski found that 3 was the magic number in this situation, and with the heat, it didn't take very long to crisp up each batch on both sides.
Oh, bro, those look perfect.
Words cannot describe the true bliss that a meal like this brings. Chick-fil-A would be the closest thing I could describe to what these fish tasted like.
Damn, those boys are turning out spicy.
Those are crispy.
These crispy little brook trout nuggets were cooked and devoured well into the evening as we shared stories and laughed. And we both had a very strange sensation at the end of it all. The feeling of our bellies actually being full before bed.
Dirtbag level 11.
Yeah, I didn't know you were chill like that.
Menacing clouds were looming in the distance, and we both figured it was time to wrap up our camp chores and retreat to the tent.
Well, if you can hear that pitter patter, that's a wee bit of rain.
It's wet.
It's a little wet. So we've ducked into the tent a little bit early, put everything away, the fire's out, and we did it, man, another day.
Yeah, I think timing was kind of perfect today as far as how everything went.
Yeah, could have been much better.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Going for gold yet again tomorrow, so we'll see you in the AM. Well, here we are, folks. If you have made it to this point in the video, then that means Kowalski and I have made it out of this mosquito-infested lake full of golden trout. And all I have to say, as always, is thank you so much for sticking around and watching these videos to the end. I mean, it really does make a difference, and it means a lot. And
Join the Discord.
join the Discord. That's from Kowalski to you, so go do it. But folks, outside of the Discord, the more you like and comment and subscribe on this platform, the more it helps this channel grow. And I hate saying that, it's super shilly, and I'm not telling you to do it. Definitely don't do it. But I love listening to your comments. I love hearing what you guys have to say about these adventures. I mean, I don't know, it's cool hearing your guys' stories and, you know, what you guys think. So yeah, comment down below, let me know what you guys think. I mean, those golden trout were beautiful, were they not? I mean, ugh. But with that being said, folks, wherever you do find yourself, be it in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, or in your backyard, I sure hope you keep those feet in the water. And until next time, tight lines.